Processing of animal after slaughter. After stunning, animals are usually suspended by a hind limb and moved down a conveyor line for the slaughter procedures. They are typically bleed, a process called sticking or exsanguination, by the insertion of a knife into the thoracic cavity and severance of the carotid artery and jugular vein. This method allows for maximal blood removal from the body. At this point in the process, the slaughtering procedures begins and differ by species. Objectives: know how to handle the animals after slaughter. Processing includes skinning, evisceration, splitting, washing, dressing of carcasses, and refrigeration. Skinning of animals. Precautions: outer side of the skin must never touch the skin surface. Operators must not touch the skin surface with the hand. Skinning is the act of skin removal. The process is done with animal mainly as a means to prepare the muscle tissues beneath for consumption or for use of the fur or tanning of the skin. Skinning is the act of skin removal. The process is done with animals mainly as means to prepare the muscle tissue beneath for consumption for use of the fur or tanning of the skin. Evisceration is the removal of some or all of the organs of the gastrointestinal tract, usually through a horizontal incision made across the abdominal area. It may result from accident but has also been used as method of torture and execution. When you say splitting, it is the arrangement of carcass according to its class. Washing of carcasses with water after slaughter is a common practice in beef slaughter, with the intent of removing visible contamination from carcasses and improving the visual quality of the meat. Dressing percentage is calculated by dividing the warm carcass weight by the shrunk live weight of the animal and expressing the result as a percentage. For example, suppose that an animal delivered to the packing plant weigh 1,300 pounds. After being killed, the hide, head, feet, and gut are removed. Another important advantage of rapid chilling is the significantly increased production yield compared to slow chilling. Meat has higher water content and thus weight loss due to evaporation during chilling can be significant. Skinning of animals. Precautions. Outer side of the skin must never touch the skin surface. Operators must not touch the skin surface with the hand. Skinning of cattle. Combined horizontal-vertical methods. Head, horn remove, head. Skin, detach head, cutting through occipital joint. Hang head, on a hook, hanging animal. Lower the carcass on its back, dressing caudal. Legs. Skin and remove the legs at carpal and tarsal. Hooves may be left attached to the hide. Forelegs should skinned after carcass is lowered onto the dressing cradle to avoid. Vertical methods. Modern plants have overhead rails. Hide removal is carried out on the hanging carcass. Operations are similar to combined method. It is not possible to reach the height from ground level. More than one operator is needed. Single operator work with hydraulic platform. Automatic hide pullers high throughout. Correct cutting lines for hide removal. Combined method of skinning. So the picture shows cattle are on hanging rail or vertical method. Evisceration. In all species, care must be taken not to puncture the viscera. This picture shows the evisceration of cattle. Evisceration of cattle. Combined horizontal-vertical system. To brisket is sewn along midline when the carcass on cradle. The third, raised to half hoist position and abdominal cavity is cut carefully along middle line. Next, carcass is the fully hoisted to hang so that the viscera fall out under their own. The third, and in vertical, carcass is cut along midline through brisket and abdomen. Viscera will come out as a carcass in hanging position, separated into thoracic viscera punch and stomachs or intestines if used for consumption. They should tie separately. Evisceration of small ruminants. A small cut is made in the abdominal cavity wall just above the breast. Fingers of the other hands are inserted to lift the body wall away from the viscera. Cut is continued to within about 5 cm of the other. The omentum is withdrawn and viscera taken out. Breastbone is split down the middle and thoracic organs then removed. Carcass splitting in cattle. Work facing the back of the carcass. Split the carcass down the backbone or chine with a saw or cleaver from the pelvis to the neck. If a cleaver is used, it may be necessary to saw through the rump and loin in older animals. So the saw and cleaver should be sterilized in hot 82 degrees Celsius water between carcasses. Splitting carcass down the vertebral column. So carcass splitting in small ruminant. Generally sold entire, can be split by saw or cleaver. Saw will probably be necessary for older animals. Carcass splitting in peg. Split down the backbone as for cattle, but the head is generally left intact. Carcass washing. Objectives: remove visible soiling and blood stains. Improve appearance after chilling. Recommendations: water must be clean. Soiled carcasses should be sprayed immediately before the soiling material dries. Remove stains from the skin surface, internal surface, sticking wound, and pelvic region. Carcass dressing. Objectives: remove all damaged or contaminated parts. Standardize the presentation of carcasses. Recommendations: inspection should be done by veterinarian. Signs of disease damage, entire carcass offal may be condemned. Factory personnel must not remove any diseased parts until they have been seen by the inspector, otherwise they may mask a general condition which should result in the whole carcass being condemned. Any instructions from the inspector to remove and destroy certain parts must be obeyed. Refrigeration of carcasses. Objectives: retard bacterial growth and extend the shelf life. Recommendations: chilling meat after post-mortem down to 0 degrees Celsius and keeping it cold will give a shelf life of up to 3 weeks. must be placed in the cooler immediately. Must hang on rails and never touch the floor. Deep muzzle temperature of 6 to 7 degrees Celsius should be achieved within 28 to 36 hours in beef, 12 to 16 hours for pork, 24 to 30 hours for mutton. Refrigeration, humidity and air current of cooler. High air speeds or AS, rapid cooling but evaporating weight losses. High RH, condensation on the carcass surface favoring mold and bacteria growth. Optimum RH 90 degrees, 90% and AS of 0.5 ns. Cooler thoroughly washed before refilling. Personnel handling should follow the strictest hygiene. Sequence of operation or combined method. Stunning, bleeding on bleeding rail, lowering on skinning, cradle start, flaying cut, feet, head and tail, gradually lifting up to dressing rail continue. Completion of flaying cut, breastbone, evisceration and splitting. Sequence of operation or vertical method. Stunning, bleeding, transfer from bleeding rail to dressing rail. Mechanical hide pulling, evisceration, stunning. That would be all and thank you for watching. God bless.